here are some slides you see. Ontario over the last year has experienced some of the highest growth in manufacturing. And here are just some background information about where the strength is. Agri-food has been a strong sector throughout the recession. Transportation equipment, this is largely automotive driven. You see the snapback that we've seen as a result of as automotive was restructured and now on the way back to recovery. So let's hope we can keep that, because that drives about 40% of manufacturing across the country, just the automotive supply chain, and a much higher proportion of manufacturing and business activity here in Durham region as well. But for any company, business as usual isn't an option. And this is, if businesses are thinking, or doing what they were doing 5 years ago, if that's what they're doing today, no doubt they're in trouble. And if companies are thinking that they're going to survive over 5 years doing the same thing that they're doing today, good luck. It isn't going to be the same. And we have to put in place an environment that assists companies transition to the changes that they have to make. It starts with leadership, but it's fundamentally about how to position yourself as a solution for customers. Find new customers, develop new products, bring new processes into development to deliver those products successfully. Find the money to do that. Make sure you get a lot of that money from internal savings. And maybe one of the most challenging things of all is make sure that your people are mobilized to achieve new results in your business. None of that is easy, but that's what every single company is going through today, at least in manufacturing, as they make this transition to a more modern manufacturing economy. Innovation is key. I mean, innovation is about how to do things better or in new ways, and that it has to be pervasive, not just in new product development, but in new market development, new ways of marketing, dealing with customers, new ways of communication, new ways of delivery, new logistics systems. At the bottom of this, it's all about people, about knowledge, and about technology. And if those core productive assets, they're the center of a community economic development strategy, then now you're talking the language of value-added business. Here are just a couple of slides. I said that I wanted to show you how cash flow drives R&D and investment. This shows me that R&D spending in Canadian business depends on the previous year's cash flow performance. This is the good one. This is the relationship between after-tax cash flow and investment in technology. I can see that, and I like graphs that can actually see some sort of a relationship there. But it's a pretty strong relationship, and in fact it's pretty consistent over a period of time that companies in Canada are investing somewhere around 35% of the cash flow in new technology. Here are some things that we've been focusing on in terms of policy priorities to support economic recovery. Now, first of all, focusing on value-added strategy. And of course, from our perspective, looking at manufacturing and exporting is the key to that recovery. Focusing on investment in productive assets, in people, in technology, in new markets, helping businesses find new customers, support the development and commercialization of the new technologies, strengthen technology transfer to business, maintain an innovative workforce, improve the ability of availability of financing, improve the business infrastructure. These are pretty general objectives on a public policy sense, but I suggest that they would make a lot of sense for a community economic development strategy as well. And then some regional priorities that I think come out of that. Number one, community leadership. Focusing on where you can make a difference. There are a lot of things here where you will have no or little impact. It's very hard to have an impact on Chinese currency out of Durham region. But there are things that are within your control. And particularly when it comes to prioritizing, when it comes to looking at an economic development strategy that doesn't necessarily pick winners. I don't think about picking the sector. It's an issue about focusing on the strengths of the region and making sure that businesses can thrive here in an entrepreneurial way and develop new products and do their business based in Durham. You know, a lot of people, there's a lot of discussion today about alternative energy, windmills for instance. Well, there are 1,500 parts in a windmill, and 3/4 of those parts are concrete, structural steel, metal products, fabricated metal, tubes, piping. That is the windmill, along with water materials and technologies and everything else that goes into it, and a lot of services that come along with it. But technology itself will help to drive a lot of existing sectors across, that are strong across this region. I wouldn't be focused too much on trying to pick the winners of technology, winners of the sectors. I'd be focused on making business as successful as possible, and start with the businesses that already exist in the region. Develop a clear understanding of business needs, support local entrepreneurship, communicate. I'm always struck by how little local businesses actually know about what is available within their own communities to help them. Communicate, communicate, communicate. Collaborate. As I said, nobody can do this on their own. And a community that works together and with other regions on a clear set of objectives is far ahead in being able to retain and attract investment. Build new connections. And then finally, ensure that you've got benchmarks and measurable things to measure success and measure progress. Anyway, I'm pretty much on time, except I don't think we have any time for questions. I'm going to be on a panel later on this morning, so maybe if there are any questions, we could cover them then. I think the panel is going to be talking about economic developments, and a lot of these issues will be discussed at that time. But let me just conclude by saying what you're doing here is extremely important. Much has changed in the last 2 years. You can see the impacts here in Durham, particularly on the industrial base here. But don't forget about the assets that you have: the people, the technology, the infrastructure, the innovation infrastructure, the logistics, the potential that you have here. This is, above all, a community initiative. And it depends on you and the leadership of this community to bring together the people to get things done that you can do effectively. I always have a word of advice for our members, and that is that, you know, your job is no longer to get product out the door. Your job is to provide a solution for your customers through a product, through a service, but a solution that your customers can afford, that they can manage, and you can deliver on when they need it on time. And I think my advice generally to you is that a community economic development strategy has to do the same thing. It has to position itself by providing solutions to business, to the businesses that are here. And again, if you can do that effectively, then you're going to be a prime location for bringing more business into the Durham region. Thanks very much.